What is up, beautiful ladies and gentlemen? It is your host with the most, Tristan Kalina. And today I'm going over why my minimum price point for a pressure washing job is $475. Look, I see a lot of people, they get into this realm or this mindset that they should charge cheap and get more customers with volume, etc. It irks me to even say that type of price point because it just makes legitimate zero logical sense. I'll go over to the thesis of actually why I got into business is because I understood the rule of compounding. The customers that you get want to be quality, and they come back every year, they come back every quarter, they come back this, and this. But when you're doing this for very cheap, you can burn out. You go into business because you want to make more than your 9 to 5, right? Like that's what everybody's aspiring goal is. Why would you work more and work harder for less money? And I'm asking you, man to man or man to girl, why are you working way harder for less money? That makes zero sense to me. And it will never, ever make sense to me. And so this is why, at least my initial thesis is because my minimum charge is $475. And so let's go over the aspects on why this is actually the case. So understanding whenever you're scaling or whenever you're even going about it solo, dolo, which I do a lot of the times, is that to run this 15 gallons per minute, nice water tank, hose reels, all this stuff, you have hidden costs that a lot of people just don't consider. Whether it's insurance, whether that's labor, whether that's maintenance, whether that's, oil changes, etc. All of these things. If you're in the wash business, you realize that a lot of stuff breaks down. And you need to actually understand what it actually costs to be able to get your truck out there at the job site. For me, it's $300. If you have labor, if you have gas, if you have chemicals, and it can be a lot on the higher side for other job sites. If you know that number, and you're taking, that 175, whatever it is, and a lot of that is not even going to you personally, because you got to reinvest into the business. If you're not investing into the business, it will never grow. The more you feed the monster, the more the monster actually gives you back. And so you got to have some money to be able to justify that. When you understand the hidden cost of the actual business, it makes logical sense to assume that you can actually charge that $475 for a minimum job. Whether that's a little sidewalk job and they just want that. People will approve that. And my second approach towards it is that if you just don't believe in the service, and this is something that I really, really would advise anybody to be able to ask themselves right now. Do you believe in your service? Do you believe in your business? If you don't believe in your business, if you don't believe in the service, get the hell out of it. Because if you actually believe in your service, you could charge whatever. People can sense that. People can sense whenever you are talking to them with an affirmative conviction in your voice or the tonality or the intonation of your voice. When you know that you believe in your service, you can provide the best results possible or tangible. Your guys are phenomenal, you're phenomenal, etc. Like, if you actually believe it, then you understand the value behind the service. It's more than $475. And so, whatever it gets you to that certain degree of belief in your service, you need to be able to justify that. My next step is that when you go about volume in cheap jobs, the susceptibility to be able to burn out, it is substantially more. It is substantially more. I would way rather do 2 jobs at $10,000 than 100 jobs at $100. You're going to burn out. This is a physical, blue-collar business. It is a physical, blue-collar business. Let me repeat that. You will burn out. Be able to delegate your time accordingly. When you go off straight volume and you're known as a cheap guy and you're known as this, it's going to be extremely tough for you to A, scale, and B, be able to be effective within, changing your stuff. Like when you do something more and more times over and over again, and you're sticking to the same prices that you did back in 2017 or 2016, there is no room for growth. And so you burn out, and then you're just not as excited about the business either. And I guess my next one is that you got to consider this too. This is me speaking to guys that may be married or have families, or any guy that might want to have a family. Is that if you're going out there and you're making $50 and your kids are dependent on it, your family's dependent on it, your wife, your mother, whatever it is, mother of your children are dependent on that. Would you do everything possible? Like if you had a bullet to your head and you had to save that family, would you do that? Imagine this as your bullet. Be able to make sure that you value that service. Be able to make sure that you charge appropriately. And it's not gauging anybody. That's where people have this false belief. It's absolutely not. Getting all this stuff out. Washing a house is extremely valuable. Property value increases. People feel better about it. People want a clean property. It solves so many solutions, and then people just don't know how to do it either. And if you're targeting the right audience, and your family is dependent on it, just make sure you're charging accordingly. I see so many people come into this rabbit hole and they just don't know what to do or etc. yada yada yada. And when you find yourself in that rabbit hole and you're trying to go off of volume and cheap, it's a dark, dark place to be in. And it should really, really, really piss you off because you see some guys on YouTube that are absolutely killing it, or people around your area that are absolutely killing it, but you decide to not change. And is that not the definition of insanity? By doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result? I think so. So if you actually want to make money, then I would make sure to really reconsider a lot of the things that maybe you might be doing to be able to push you past that next echelon, like your family is dependent on it. Whew, guys. But this is kind of like at least my thought process within going about washing jobs. And yeah, you might even lose some customers behind it, which I feel like that might be an elephant in the room. But if you lose 2 customers at $100 or $125, but you add one at $500, that's a $300 spread for less time and more money. And I think also a false belief that a lot of people have is that, like, how can I get these consistently? You absolutely 110% can. There's proof in the pudding. If somebody else can do it, why can you not? I'm an affirmative believer on, like, if I can do something 1 time, then I can do that 10 times. If I can do it 10 times, then that means I can do it 100 times. It just takes time. And if you're okay with accepting that time, then you'll be in a good spot. But just to go down everything is that you go into business to make more than your 9 to 5. You got to really value the service. Your family is dependent on this stuff as well. Understanding the actual cost to run this stuff as well too is very, very important. And then I want everybody to just make some money, man. That's it. Because I really do believe the more you give, the more you take. And the universe, God, is just looking over and being like, yes, you know, you give a very valuable service. You're able to take more. But just give value. But anyways, guys, I'm posting every Tuesday and Friday at 5:15 Central Standard Time. You guys should definitely subscribe to this channel. If this is your first time ever looking at it, maybe it's your sixth time looking at it, but I know everybody else out there, you guys are like my family if you guys are subscribed. But anyways, YouTube is recommending this video to go out there and take a look at it. You guys should definitely go over there, look at it. But I will see you guys on the flip side. Peace.